edition of Mustard Moments. Real people, real mustard. This is Mustard Moments. I'm with Keith Pozzuto, a native of Pittsburgh, a Texas resident for about the past 8 years, another mustard fan, and a former roommate of mine. So today we're going to get into a brown mustard neither of us have ever had before. Keith has a particular affinity for brown mustard.
I do.
And we're not sure how to pronounce it yet. We're gonna figure that out, but it's spelled Kosciusko. So we're thinking like Kosciusko or something like that. It is genetically modified. It says so right on the label. So point of interest there. Kosciusko, if we're pronouncing that right, is made by a company called Plotchman's, and it's a specific style. I don't know what makes it different than other brown mustards, but we have some standard Gulden's brown mustard to do a side-by-side comparison. Yeah, you can see the color
differences.
Gulden's in my hands, and
There you
then
go.
in my left hand, Kosciusko. Pretty interesting. Before we get into trying, though, let's talk a little bit about your love of mustard, Keith. What started it? Do you have an early mustard memory in life?
I do have an early mustard memory. I remember the first time we were in New York City. Our family went to New York City, and we got, a Dirty Water Dog, Sabrettes from a cart, and they put on that spicy brown, and it was the first time I ever had spicy brown mustard, and I thought to myself, why have I never tasted this before? This is the best tasting mustard ever. And of course they put on the onions and the spicy brown, and it's just a perfect combination. And so that from that point on, I was trying to always find the perfect spicy brown.
You're a spicy brown guy from then on. When you left Pittsburgh, you were a ketchup guy, as many Pittsburghers are, and you've been away, and it's lost its hold on you.
Yeah.
Why is that? What happened?
I just found out that I wanted to taste the food. And the problem with ketchup is it destroys all flavor. So, here's the thing. If it was something disgusting and I didn't want to taste it, dipping it in ketchup made it bearable, right? But the problem is that I wanted to actually taste my food. And to taste my food meant that I was going to have to use a mustard because it accentuated the flavors in the food. And so whenever I found that out and kind of started thinking that through and more in terms of what flavors kind of felt like, I realized that I just didn't like ketchup anymore. Unless I wanted to cover something up, mustards are just so much better.
Mustards, there's so many different styles of mustards. Mustard is a big tent, I would say. There's a mustard for everyone. It's like a political party where there's room for everyone. Whereas ketchup, it's just, it is what it is.
My son just introduced me to a Cranberry mango Habanero mustard.
Oh, wow.
It was fabulous. This little tiny
that
jar.
should be on the show.
I put it on a piece of cracker and I ate it, and I was like, "What? This is fabulous."
Did you find that in Texas?
He found it in Pennsylvania. In some local store here.
Okay.
And just picked it up because he's a connoisseur of mustards as well. And picked it up and went, "Oh my gosh, you got to try this!" And it was delicious.
I'll be on the lookout for that. You had mentioned at your home you've got like a large cabinet full of mustards.
In our fridge we have 2 shelves just dedicated to different mustards.
I think my wife thinks I have too much mustard already, so hope she's listening here. An award-winning old world flavor, a zesty addition to sandwiches, meat dishes, and recipes. Find ideas at plockman.com. So I like to start with the classic brown mustard, the Gulden's. I think probably Gulden's is the most widely available brown mustard in the country, I would guess.
Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Golden's just recently, we went through the grocery store, and we always have a bottle of Golden's, and we ran out, and they changed their packaging. They changed it from a clear bottle where you could see the deliciousness of the Golden's
mustard,
to a completely black bottle. And they say that it's the same inside, but it makes me scared because I want to see that delicious brown.
You want to see the product.
I want to see the product.
That is a little
I don't know why they did that.
disconcerting. I don't know why either. You got the baseline, if you will. This is like the brown mustard of my childhood. I put on pretzels and hot dogs.
That nice little spice, but a little bit of vinegar, that good umami that just sits there on your tongue. It's just an excellent mustard.
As far as brown mustards go, I think it's a pretty accessible one. People who don't like brown mustard maybe would find this one more tolerable than some of the other ones that have extra horseradish or extra wine in them. I have no idea what makes this one different other than the color.
But I am interested to find out.
So I'm going to find out, yeah.
Let me
Just get your reaction here as you go.
A little try here. It's much milder. It's actually not as spicy as the Golden's, and Golden's isn't very spicy to begin with. It's smooth.
It is very smooth. It's not at all what I expected.
No. It has like a fruitier flavor to it.
Yeah, like
Not as much vinegar.
I would say almost I don't think tangy is the right word, but fruity is interesting. Like I almost thought of lemons when I ate it, which is not what I expected. And that's kind of the magic of mustard. You just never know what's going to happen. We had a root beer mustard on the show a couple months ago. That was a pretty crazy experience.
When I look at the ingredients, it's the exact same as all mustards, right? Basically, distilled vinegar, mustard seed, water, salt, and spices. But I'm wondering, those spices are where the key flavoring's at, and I don't.
Right.
It's so different.
And let's not forget the genetic engineering. I think that the finish is the most different part of this mustard compared to the golden. It almost finishes like what I'd expect a yellow mustard to finish like, even though it tastes like brown mustard up front. I don't know.
Now that I've had
some yellow mustard, I'm gonna try it.
Now that I've had the third little bit of it, it's very smooth, but it sits very kind of calmly in your mouth. There's no aftertaste. It kind of disappears pretty quickly.
So I've got just some yellow mustard here. Kind of mustard everybody knows.
Yellow mustard that's delicious. Now, the thing about the yellow mustard, though, is you can taste the garlic in it.
Mm-hmm. I've got the brown mustard. The Gouldens. They do taste different.
Mm-hmm.
And then this third option. I feel like it's right in between.
It really is.
The Gouldens brown and the yellow mustard. You agree with that?
Yeah, the Gouldens is definitely the spiciest of these three options.
Mm-hmm.
The Kosciusko, if I'm saying it correctly again, is the middle, is like kind of the less spicier, and then obviously the kind of garlicky turmeric version of French's, that kind of delicious turmeric aftertaste.
Right.
Which I really appreciate about French's.
And we wanted to try this mustard specifically because it's one we've heard about in hot dog circles. There's a Facebook group I'm part of that I mention quite often called Hot Dog Nation, and Kosciusko gets a lot of plaudits on that website when people talk about what mustards they like best. So I had no idea what to expect, but I think it's available nationwide. I think I picked this up in Wisconsin, actually. So
I saw that it was on Amazon. I almost bought some on Amazon.
Did you?
Yeah. The thing that I would say, the reason why I think it would work so well with a hot dog is because, again, just like the yellow mustard and how it's mild and kind of just accentuates the flavor of the hot dog, if you had a good natural casing dog, an all-beef dog, and you put that Kosciusko on it, it's going to really allow those flavors to pop. I mean, it's not going to bury anything.
Right, yeah, I'm really intrigued to try it on more than a cracker sometime soon. The coloring, I think, is so fascinating, too. I wish I knew more about the spices, as Keith mentioned, but again, we showed earlier, like, the difference, right? They're both brown mustards. Kosciusko is in my left hand here, and then Gouldens in my right hand. They're both using brown mustard seed. This coloring
is actually brown.
Yeah, it almost looks more like the coloring of what I think I see most Dijon mustards be. I know Dijon mustard usually is white wine, which neither of these mustards do. But it's just got to be the seasoning, right? What else could be the variable that would make it so different in color?
I would assume there's some turmeric in the Gouldens, because of that kind of orangish color that's pulling out.
If I had to guess which of these two brown mustards would taste more like yellow by color, I would guess the Gouldens for sure. And then this is surprisingly, I feel like, as I said earlier,
much
kind
smoother,
of in between the two. So that's interesting.
One of my favorite hot dog stories is the first time I went with Tim. We went to New York City. And actually, Tim's going to have to help me out here, but we stopped in New Jersey, and we went to a place that had a fried hot dog.
Rutt's Hut, probably.
And I remember Rutt's Hut. I do. It was a deep fried, and you told me exactly how to order the deep fried hot dog. And we got it, and we put on, like half of the hot dog, I put French's on. And the other half of the hot dog we put on the golden, the spicy brown. And they have, onions and everything on it. And I remember that moment of just thinking, were the two married? And often I don't often mix my mustards, but actually sometimes mixing a mustard is very delicious. And so I think what I want to try actually is I want to try mixing. Now I'm glad I didn't do this in the beginning, but I want to mix some of the French's with some of the Kosciusko. That's delicious. And so what it does is it just it pulls it together. They work well together, and so that's what I remember from that hot dog shop in New Jersey.
People don't usually mix mustards.
It's true. People don't do that.
In your time in Texas, have you run into any interesting mustards that you can't get in the Northeast?
So there's a lot of jalapeno mustards, which are really good. There is a Whataburger, which is the kind of
I've heard of Whataburger.
the fast food of Texas, They every once in a while will release a spicy mustard that is unlike any other because it's jalapeno and it's very good. When we were in El Paso, they put Hatch chilies in mustard.
Okay.
And that was really tasty as well. Hatch chilies and mustard. Kind of a fire smoked chili that they mixed in with the mustard, and it just it brought a smokiness to the mustard that I hadn't experienced before.
That sounds interesting. What I'm gathering is Texas is all about the peppers, whether it's chili,
It's worth about peppers
whether it's
and the spice.
jalapenos.
Yeah.
And a smoked mustard on a hot dog would be great because a hot dog is a smoked meat. Mm-hmm. So it'd be almost compounding the smokiness. I'm curious. I'll have to try that sometime when I make it to Texas. Well, thanks, Keith. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I hope you've had fun.
I have.
And
I'm glad. I thank you for introducing me to this Kosciusko Mustard. It was
my pleasure.
Very interesting.
He's a yellow mustard fan.
Yeah, he likes the yellow.
Yeah?
Looks like he likes the yellow and the Goldmans. The Plockmans he was a little apprehensive about the Kosciusko. That's very interesting.
Good job, bub. Good job.